Welcome. Please comment where you're watching in the world. Leave a like and sub if you enjoy the stories. This girl named Ellen, her name has been changed, emailed me and was like, I have a spooky, scary story about dating apps and dating in general. For years ago, she moved to Indianapolis to take care of her dad who had terminal cancer. Devastating. He passed not long after she arrived, and she was grief-heavy and alone, but she had already signed a 1.5-year lease to save money. Remote job, flexible hours, so she stayed. And because loneliness is loud, she downloaded a dating app. She describes herself as pretty, funny, good energy. Never had trouble meeting men, but in Indy she didn't know a soul. So when she matched with this guy, Matt, she was excited. He was handsome, conversation flowed, they talked about everything. She told him up front, I'm here because my dad died. I'm grieving. I'm trying. He was normal about it, sympathetic. After a few weeks of chatting, Matt said, Drinks? Friday at 7, perfect. She gets ready, shows up on time, and 7 o'clock becomes 7:15, becomes 7:20. Nothing. She opens the app to message, blocked. No explanation. No sorry, can't make it. Just vapor. Rude, but she shrugs, people are flaky. And then, here's where the plot does a weird little flip. She moves to the bar to make the night not a waste. She chats with a couple guys and the bartender. One guy leaves, the other, we'll call him John, stays. Not her usual type, but he buys another round, conversation is easy, and then he says his mother just died of cancer. She just stops. My dad, she says. They sit for another hour, grief braiding into laughter into quiet. They exchange numbers and end up dating. For the next year, it is soft and ordinary. Not movie love, better maybe because it's quiet. Sunday errands. Tacos on the couch. John is kind in a muted way, remembers her coffee order, texts home safe? Every time. He's self-employed. His projects are vague but plausible. Sometimes he travels on weekends. He's a loner, doesn't have many friends, no social media because privacy. She doesn't mind, she's not big online herself. She shares her dad's stories, he shares about his mom. Grief gives them a private language, where the pain sits, what songs hurt, the way supermarkets blindside you in the canned soup aisle. They move in together when her lease ends because it's practical and because love, even shaky love, wants a kitchen to live in. His apartment is tidy, almost too tidy. A framed print of a skyline you can buy at Target. A plant that seems new. She fills the place with warm mess. Her ugly mug that says world's okayest runner. 2 throw blankets, the photo strip of her and her best friend making faces. John seems relieved to have life there. There are small oddities, the kind you step over without naming. He doesn't introduce her to anyone, says he doesn't really keep up with people. When she asks about family, he says they're complicated and changes the subject. His phone face down but never far. When they go out, he prefers places a neighborhood over, where the servers don't know him. He says it's because he likes to be present with her. She chooses to believe him because the alternative is a storyline she doesn't know how to hold. Months pass. Grief does what grief does, grows moss around its edges. They take a day trip to Brown County, buy honey at a roadside stand, listen to a podcast about haunted bridges and make fun of it, then hold hands over a 1-lane crossing anyway. She thinks this is a real life, even if it's not fireworks. And then, Netflix logs out. It's a Thursday. She wants to watch a bad baking show. The TV screen says, sign in. Annoying. The account is John's, so she tiptoes into the bedroom, where he's asleep, to grab his phone and reset the password. She tells herself, not snooping, just fixing the TV. She opens apps to find his email. There's Tinder. It's not even hidden. Red app, white flame, a little badge like it's a to-do list item. Her stomach drops like an elevator. She taps it. A notification bloom, matches, unread messages. She clicks his profile to see what he's advertising, and the air goes quiet in that way rooms do when you finally notice the hum of the fridge has been there all along. The pictures on his profile are not him. They are Matt, the same 6 photos. The same smirky half-smile at a brewery, the same black tea in a mirror, the same, this is me laughing with friends just out of frame shot. It's the guy who stood her up, the guy who blocked her the night she met John at the bar. She sits on the edge of the bed with his phone in her hand, and the baking show flickering, demo mode in the living room. There is a kind of cold that starts in your neck and moves downward, rib by rib, like a winter checking windows. She scrolls. Messages from women. You free Friday? LOL, your trouble. Is this the place on Mass Avenue? all time-stamped for the months she and John were learning each other's coffee orders. She clicks back to the profile, and then forward again, as if the pictures might rearrange themselves into sense if she reloads enough. She could wake him up and wave the phone. She could screenshot and torch the world. She doesn't. She puts the phone back quietly, goes to the sink, and runs cold water until it is cold enough to feel like a choice. In the morning she waits for the right pocket of time, coffee poured, shoes by the door, a day not yet decided, and says, "I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth." His face does a complicated thing, like he is choosing from a shelf of expressions. She says the words carefully, as if saying them wrong will make the truth worse. "Are you Matt?" He exhales like someone punched him. For a moment she thinks, maybe he's about to give me the name of a twin, a cousin, a prank. Instead, he nods. It is quiet. The fridge hums again. A truck grinds by outside. "Why?" she asks, and the why is big enough to fill the room, the building, the block. His story comes out in pieces, the way lies do when they're tired. He made the Matt profile because he never gets matches as himself. He was going to cancel on her, felt guilty, saw her sitting alone. He thought she was out of his league. He didn't mean to lie for long. He didn't know how to tell her once she liked him. He just wanted a chance. He is sorry. He is so sorry. He is the sorriest man who ever lived. And then he says the thing that breaks the floorboards. "I knew you were grieving. I thought we could help each other." He tells her his mother is dead. Later, much later, she will meet his mother at a farmer's market and buy peaches from her and realize complicated meant alive. She does not scream. She asks him to sit on the other side of the room. She asks him to turn off his phone. She tells him to give her space. He nods, hands folded like a schoolboy, and cries into them. She feels like she is watching a play in a language she doesn't speak, but she recognizes the shape of the scenes. They don't break up. I know. But people do not leave their lives like you exit a car. She tells me in her email, "I stayed because the him I knew was the person in the kitchen making eggs while humming off key. Because the grief felt real even if the story didn't. Because I didn't want to be alone again in a city that still felt like a borrowed coat." She makes him promise a bonfire of honesty. "No more fake profiles, no more secrets. Introduce me to your family, give me passwords. I do not recommend this, but I am reporting, not advising. Therapy together." He says yes to everything like he is signing a mortgage. So, it's 3 a.m. in Phoenix. Me and my friend want snacks. We pull into a Chevron glowing like a spaceship in the desert. As we're going in, this man is coming out, 6 feet 4 inches, gym shoulders, jawline like a geometry problem, and he holds the door. I clock him, he clocks me, we do that micro-smile thing. I literally say to my friend in the chip aisle, "That was the hottest man I've ever seen in a gas station." Which, fine, is a low bar, but still. We go back to her place, and because the universe loves a bit, I open Tinder, for the first time in months. And guess who is the first card? Gas station Adonis. I show my friend. She shrieks. I swipe right. It's an instant match. He messages, "Am I crazy or did I just see you at the gas station?" And I'm like, "No, that was me. I wanted to get your number, but it felt weird in front of beef jerky." He says, "Same, didn't want to be that guy, lol." I'm planning our wedding at a quick trip at this point. We trade numbers, text for a few days. He's charming with punctuation, which is my kink. We set a dinner. First date is at a place with string lights and tacos the size of a face. He's a little stiff, a little I talk like a podcast, but polite. It's Phoenix hot even at night, like opening an oven to check on a cake that's angry at you. Conversation bops along. I decide I can work with the mild awkward. After dinner he's like, "Want to go somewhere we can walk?" I suggest a spot with actual people and trees. He parks instead on the roof of a parking garage. Sodium lights, warm wind, crickets doing a stadium tour. I reach for the door handle to say, "Let's go down," and I hear it, the double click of the locks. Every hair in my ancestry stands up. "Let's just chill," he says, like a YouTube video that's about to get demonetized. He leans back, slides his seat, pats the center console. It gives me theater kid, stage this scene, energy. I laugh it off and say, "I'm good up here." He keeps his hand where my knee will be if I move an inch. And then accelerator pressed. He starts love bombing like he brought a bouquet of fireworks. "I knew when I saw you you're my future, no cap." The no cap feels like a prop he borrowed from a younger cousin. I've never felt this aligned, deadass. He is 30, saying deadass like he downloaded it and didn't check the file format. I say something non-committal like wild, and look at the skyline, which is doing that Phoenix thing, flat, dotted with red aircraft lights, heat breathing up from concrete. He pivots hard into commitment monologues. I could transfer schools, he says. I blink. We are 4 hours into knowing each other outside of snacks and the internet. I could move to LA if that's where you're going. Peru? I've never been to Peru, but I could do Peru. I joke. I'm deciding between Silver Lake and Machu Picchu. To see if he laughs. He doesn't. I'll go wherever you go, he says, and I feel something inside me tighten a seatbelt. Let's play a game, he says. 20 questions. I'm like, sure, we can do favorite movies and childhood pets. His first question, would you ever eat someone? Silent beat. The garage hums. A moth flies suicidal laps around the light above us. Sorry? I say, because the brain requests clarification when the soul starts packing. Like, would you ever eat someone? He repeats, slower, as if diction is the issue. Not like alive, obviously. Like, hypothetically. No, I say crisp. Absolutely not, he grins. I already have. Then he laughs, the kind of laugh men used to test if the joke landed or just cracked the tile. A thing you should know, the body often knows before the mouth. Mine says leave. My mouth says, that's not funny. His smile slips and he backpedals. I'm kidding, relax, you're so tense. He squeezes my knee. I flinch, so hard my earrings swing. I text my friend under the pretense of checking a message. Call me. Now. She calls with her Oscar-winning performance as my mother. Hi sweetie, sorry to bother. Can you come home? The sink is overflowing. I say, oh my God, of course. And he watches me like a hawk watching a mouse buy a bus ticket. I gotta go. I say, bright and apologetic, because women are taught to bubble wrap their exits. Emergency. His face goes dark, like dropping a stage light. The jaw ticks. He slams his palm into the steering wheel. Not a gentle tap, a full punch. The horn barks and keeps barking because he's left his hand on it, like an alarm for my nervous system. Spiderweb cracks appear in the plastic like frost. Are you serious right now? He says. The voice is new, shaved down and mean. Yes, I say. My heart is now a hummingbird in a jar. I reach for the lock. He hits the controls again. Click. Unlock the car, I say even. He stares, then laughs, then unlocks with a little sigh like I've inconvenienced him by existing. I get out. Text me, he says, suddenly soft again, whiplash romance. This feels so right. You're the one. I power walk to the lift. 6 floors of echoing stairwell later. I'm in the open air with other humans who would notice if I vanished. I call my friend back. We debrief in panicked bullet points while I get into my car. He said he'd eat someone. Like metaphorically? No. Okay, blocked? Blocking. My phone lights up before I even hit the on-ramp. 1 call, 2, 5, 10. 34 calls by the time I get home. 1 voicemail drops. Then another. Then another. A symphony of desperation. I let the first one play on speaker while I feed my dog to make sure my house still contains normal sounds. His voice is low, coaxing. Hey. I'm sorry for flipping. When I see something real I get protective. You're different. I'll go wherever you go. LA, Peru, Mars. Say the word. I promise I was kidding. I would never, you know. You probably taste. I stop it. The house seems too small to contain the sentence. I sit on the floor and breathe with my dog, who is patient and very into gravity. I block his number. Instagram too. Tinder gone. Then I put my phone face down and do the dishes like they insulted me personally. The middle of the story is where I learn the geography of my city and my instincts. Phoenix at night is warm wind that smells faintly of dust and orange blossom, streetlights that hum, coyotes that sometimes sound like kids laughing down the block. It is also a place where a locked car click can make your stomach fall through the parking levels. I write a list in my notes app titled Desert Night SOP, because I love a policy. First dates end in public, not in parked cars. If doors lock and I didn't lock them, the date is over. If a man offers to relocate his entire life an hour for, that's not romance, it's control. If no cap shows up on a 30-year-old in desert boots, noted and leave. Cannibal questions are not icebreakers. I send it to my group chat. The replies are what you expect. Girl, what? Peru? New rule, if he uses deadass unironically in Arizona, run. The teacher friend adds, add a sentence about calling 911 sooner. This was enough. She is right. My brain filed drunk/domestic under normal because culture calls it that. I am revising the file. A week later, because closure is rude, he finds me from a different number and leaves a final message. I keep that one to remind myself I didn't imagine the switch. It begins tender. Hey, it's me. I've done a lot of thinking. Then it wanders into the uncanny. You probably think I'm a monster. I'm not. I wanted to address this question because I got a lot of them after my Hinge date from hell last night. I'm still kind of processing, but here's the quick story time. Except not quick because context matters. This wasn't our first date, it was our third. The first two? Normal. Like suspiciously normal. We did tacos by the beach, a double date with my friends. Even my dogs liked him, and my dogs hate men who don't recycle. So when he asked me to dinner last night, I said yes. Since we'd been texting every day, I told him to pick me up and we'd go from there. San Diego closes early, restaurants roll up the sidewalks at 10, so after 2 martinis and good conversation, we came back to mine for a glass of wine. That's where the night fell down a trapdoor. I poured 2 reasonable glasses that were adults pour. I took the dogs out for a 3-minute pee. 3 minutes. When I came back, his glass was gone, my glass was gone, and he was already halfway through a second pour like it was a sports drink, and he was playing in the Super Bowl. Alarm bell 1, the gulping. Alarm bell 2, the switch, his face a shade redder, his smile sloppier, volume up 5 clicks. He got handsy within 10 sentences. Not cute handsy, not flirty handsy, insistent, grabby, a palm on my waist that lingered when I peeled it off, fingers creeping along my thigh like a vine that didn't get the pruning memo. I said, hey, slow down. I'm not feeling touchy. He laughed like I told a joke and leaned in again. I stepped back. No means no, I said out loud, clear church voice. He tried to make it playful. You're trouble. And I said, I'm serious. I offered him the couch. Got him a blanket and a pillow because I'm delusionally hospitable. I'm going to bed, I said. You can crash there. He nodded glassy-eyed, then wandered into my bedroom anyway like a Roomba with bad programming. Absolutely not, I said. Couch. He blinked at me, swayed, made a sound like a question mark, then covered his mouth and sprinted. Reader, he did not make the toilet. He threw up in his hand, then into my bathroom sink, then half onto the bath mat for balance, like a Jackson Pollock piece entitled Consequences. I stood in the doorway making airplane martial movements toward the toilet. He cried. Actual tears. What did I do wrong? He hiccuped. I'm so sorry. Just let me hug you. I said, no hugs. Couch. He tried to step closer. I put my palm up like a cop in a TV show. Stop. I locked my bedroom door. That's a sentence I wish I didn't have to write, but I did it because my body demanded it. And within a minute, the knocking. Gentle at first, then rhythmic, then a full body rattle like a toddler throwing a tantrum at Target. Baby, please open the door, he said, voice wet and needy. You're scaring me. He tried the handle. I promise I won't knock. Knock. I promise I won't talk. Talk. I just want to hug you. I said, please go lay down or leave. He didn't. He stayed. For minutes that felt like a commercial break in hell. I did something I've judged in other people's videos until I was in the moment myself. I recorded. Not to post. Not for content. For proof, in case proof was needed later. The strip of light under my door became the whole movie. His feet paced through it, shadow in, shadow out. The knob twitched like a nervous eye. My dogs, who had relocated under the bed like 2 furry cowards, matched my heartbeat. Calling the police didn't occur to me until later, and that's the part that surprises me the most. I run safety drills in my brain for fun. But when it's a person whose jokes you laughed at 2 hours ago, the whiplash is real. I wasn't sure what threshold counted as call 911. He hadn't hit me. He hadn't broken anything. He was just a drunk man who wouldn't respect a boundary, which is such a common sentence it has its own couch in the culture. Eventually the knocking slowed, then stopped. He passed out on the living room rug, not the couch I had made like a hotel turn-down service for toddlers. I slid into an ugly sleep with my shoes still on. Morning is a terrible forensic light. My bathroom looked like a crime scene that lost its nerve. Sink clotted, towel ruined, bath mat a memorial. I left it. I wanted him to see it, to face the shape of his choices. He woke at 6:30, clomped to the bathroom, stared at the mess like it was an abstract painting with a deep message, then left. Door click. Silence. I texted at 7:30, after hearing the car start and the quiet settle. Seriously, you just left it? I wrote. I've never been so grossed out. It wasn't poetry, but prosecution rarely is. Hours later he replied, Babe, I'm sorry about the mess, woke up and left ASAP. Did I do something to upset you last night? Tell me if I did. It's a rare scene to meet someone like you. I think I had a little too much. Gonna sleep and recover. The tone was confusing. Apology cosplay, plus amnesia, plus flattery as spackle. So I did something I recommend to all my future selves. I wrote a calm, detailed account. What happened in order with verbs. You drank 3 glasses of wine in 10 minutes. You ignored my no. You tried to get in my bed. You vomited in my sink. You cried at my door and wouldn't leave me alone after I said stop. You left the mess. I felt scared. Then I attached the video, not to humiliate him, but because apparently my words needed a supporting witness. He responded once more. Thank you, Abby. I'm so sorry. I'm disappointed in myself and heartbroken about how I made you feel. I will work on myself and I'll miss you. And that was that. Not accountability so much as a closing him. I had a date tonight and the plan was to meet at Leicester Square at 6:15 because I wanted to go to Chinatown and get chicken. I messaged him at 5:30, leaving now, should be on time, and hopped on the Northern Line. If you know, 0 reception, tunnels for days, time stretches like chewing gum. I pop out at Leicester Square at 6:17, 2 minutes late, sue me, pull out my phone, and all the messages flood in at once. From him at 5:47, cool, just dropping my gym bag, don't want to lug it. At 6:09, you pranking me, Jenny? Then I see it, his WhatsApp photo is gone, and when I text, I'm here, it sits on one gray tick. No delivery. Which, if you're a woman who's used a smartphone before, reads as, you blocked me because I didn't respond while I was literally underground. I check Hinge. Our chat's still alive, so I message there. Hey, Northern Line black hole. I'm here. Within a minute he pings on WhatsApp again, photo magically reappeared. I'm at Tottenham Court Road. Ping me your live location. Okay. We meet outside the chicken place because he doesn't want to come inside. I give him a hug and laugh. You're such a baby for blocking me. He flusters. I didn't block you. WhatsApp's glitchy. Glitchy. While he was above ground in zone 1. Right. We start walking. He stays a half step ahead, like we're in a 3-legged race and he's annoyed at the rope. The square is doing Leicester Square things. Tourists photographing Eminem's world like it's the Louvre, buskers juggling knives to the wrong song, the Odeon marquee shouting at the sky. Mind the gap, echoes in my bones from earlier. Chinatown is busy, steam rising from vents, roast ducks lacquered in windows, neon signs humming. It smells like pepper and sugar and fresh trouble. I'm ready for a little food crawl, my perfect London evening. Chicken here, ube ice cream at Mama Son's, maybe a Korean corn dog at Bunsik if the queue is kind. He clocks my plan and goes stiff. I'm trying to eat healthy, he says. Let's do Leon. Leon. On a date. In Chinatown. A 5-minute walk from 100 better options and traditions older than his gym membership. I say, we can do both. He says, I've already eaten. He didn't mention that when he told me to meet him at 6:15, but okay. This is what the old people call a sulken motion. I decide I'm still getting my chicken. He won't come inside, too busy, so I order alone. He stands outside like a grumpy dad waiting for a teenager who's wasting time. My order number pings. The woman at the till smiles, I smile back, as if we are in a little club called Not Making This Weird. We step back out and he says, how old are you again? As though 2 minutes of lateness has aged me. I say 29, and he hums like a teacher marking homework. He's 36, a detail he specified on Hinge like it's a brand. I suggest an amble, a look at the lanterns, a stop for dessert. He says, I don't really do dessert. He says dessert like the word personally offended him. Okay. I say bright because if there's one thing London teaches you, it's how to brighten in the face of nonsense. I'll grab a matcha then. We swing by, I pay for my drink, he buys himself a box of chicken and waffle fries at Leon. So that I've already eaten was creative nonfiction. We try conversation. It clanks. He asks for my live location again, just so I can find you if we get separated. We are 5 meters apart. I say I don't share live location with men I just met. He says, well, that's not very trusting. I think, that's the point. I say, first dates are for trusting the plan, not the person. He tilts his head like he's never heard a sentence structured that way. Here's where the evening turns from mildly annoying to sparse horror, not jump scare horror, but that thin, silvery kind. The sort where someone's ego is fragile enough to shatter, and you're the nearest broom. Every little thing is a test he sets, and I'm failing on purpose. I won't apologize for 2 minutes. I won't send him a dot moving on a map. I won't change my plan to do a sad chain in Soho when there's a world of steam and spice and red paper overhead. We drift up Shaftesbury. He does the faux banter voice. Banter. Banter. Like he's announcing it on telly, then drops into sudden frost when I don't clap. He complains about the Northern Line like I designed it. Why'd you say 6:15 if you were going to be late? Because I wasn't going to be late, the train decided. You could have messaged. From Underground? I say. He shrugs as if to say, solutions were available if you'd cared enough. That's the trick with men like this. Every hiccup becomes proof of your insufficient devotion. We end up outside the theater district signage, all gold and promise. He points at a poster and says, I took a girl to that last month, then glances at me to see if it lands. It lands, just not how he thinks. I log it. Hair trigger insecurity, petty attempts at control, flimsy lies, glitchy WhatsApp, already eaten, Liana's lifestyle, plus the gentle misogyny of requiring me to prove I'm not pranking him by riding public transport. I can feel the tiny paper cuts forming a map on my skin. Shall we call it? I say gentle. I'm gonna do my little food crawl. You do your macros. He laughs like I told another joke he doesn't get and says, I'll walk you. I say, no need. He insists. I insist back. He looks wounded, then annoyed, then puts on the nice boy mask. Text me when you get home. Sure, I lie. He peels off toward Tottenham Court Road, and I swear I see the WhatsApp avatar flicker in my mind. The jump scare of a missing face, single tick ticking like a metronome for fragile egos. I take a breath, turn into Newport Place, and the city exhales with me. Steam kisses my face. A kid laughs chasing a lantern's shadow. A busker butchers hallelujah with sincere gusto. I cue for ube, purple like a bruise made of joy. In the window I catch my reflection, neon on cheekbone, a girl alone and suddenly lighter. The date is over, the evening is mine. I do the full crawl out of spite and self-care. Hot chicken, then soft serve, then, yes, a ridiculous corn dog that crackles when I bite it. I text my friend a selfie. Dumped a sulk, acquired fried joy. She replies, upgrade. I think about how often women will stay in the sulk because it feels rude to choose themselves, and I resolve to be more impolite. On the train home, Jubilee, because I wanted signal and to be dramatic about light, I write myself a new London SOP, the way I always do after an encounter that teaches me my own weather. First meets at places, not pins. No live location until someone's a known quantity. If he at your age, he can go date his maturity level. If he blocks/unblocks, he's rehearsing control. Exit stage left. If he says banter, out loud, it's not banter. I put it in notes under Chinatown Standard Operating Procedures, which makes me laugh because I am an office of one. I add a line at the bottom. Carry cash to ghost early if necessary. Always know where the loo is. Trust the single tick. Can I actually double down and make it 2 beers after this interaction I just had with a man on Hinge? Because hear this is literally how scary dating is for women. This is the stuff we deal with. Tell me this wasn't a little bit concerning and foreboding. This is also my message to Hinge. We need a feature where you can report someone after they unmatch you, because it was only a little unsettling until he unmatched me, and then it got deeply concerning. So, guy named Alex. Profile looked normal, honestly impressive. Nice photos, nothing blurry in a bathroom, decent prompts, verified. He likes a beach pic of me and opens with, amazing, all that's left is for me to inspect this perfection in person over a bottle of wine. Borderline cheeky, flirting with the line, but I give him the point. I say, thanks haha, I'm not really a wine person, but I love where your head's at. I agree, let's meet. He comes back with, cocktails then? I say, I do like a good cocktail, but I've made it a personal rule not to drink alcohol on a first date with strangers for obvious safety reasons. This line is practically copy-paste for me at this point. I say it kindly, no lecture, just boundary. Usually guys go, totally fair, coffee? Walk. Apps. And we're sweet. Not this man. He presses. Not even a little. Then, I can't convince you to have one. And finally, you won't drink at all. The way someone keeps nudging your elbow after you say no. It's not the end of the world, but it's a preview. I reply, is alcohol really important to you? Not snark, honest question. Is this core to your personality? If it is, we're not aligned. My phone shows the little typing, bubble, then poof. Chat evaporates. Hinge gray screen. This member is no longer available. he unmatched. And the split-second shift, that's when my stomach did the slow elevator drop. Because now I'm not just dealing with a man who wanted me a little buzzed. I'm dealing with a man who couldn't tolerate a boundary and punished it by vanishing, neatly dodging accountability. The creepiest part was the sudden silence. And here is the bit where I shake a tiny fist at the app. If they unmatch first, your chance to report goes with them unless you pre-screenshot like you're the NSA. Midwest manners almost had me apologizing. I could hear my Minnesota auntie in my head. Maybe you were too firm, hun. And then a colder voice. Or maybe he told you who he is. The middle of the story is me at my kitchen counter, spoon and yogurt, replaying the chat like it's a tiny crime scene. The words "convince you" glowed neon. Convince me to do what? Drink, so I can be looser with my yes. Convince me to drop the one rule that keeps me from becoming a missing persons poster between the Stone Arch Bridge and the North Loop. I imagine the date he wanted. Dim bar, fourth booth, his drink on number 3, mine just one, which would transform into another for the road, and then the road becomes a rideshare I didn't plan. I picture a bartender who's busy, a bathroom I don't know, and a check I can't calculate in a fog. I text my friend group. I said no to alcohol on a first date, and he unmatched. Normal or weird? Replies pour in like a storm. Alexa, nurse, permanently tired, that's weird. Mari, lawyer, mean in the right ways, gross boundary test. Kira, teacher, kind as water, it's good he removed himself. My brother chimes in with a guy brain translation. If dudes press for the drink, they want a hand decap. Cool, noted, thank you to the anthropology department. I write a little canned reply for future me, so I don't waste energy explaining my value system to strangers. Thanks for the invite. I don't drink on first dates for safety. Down for coffee, a walk on St. Anthony, Maine, a museum, or tacos. If alcohol on date 1 is a must for you, we're probably not a match. I copy it to notes. I drink water like I'm ceremonially washing the man out of my bloodstream. And then, because expansion is where the real feelings are, I walk. Literal walk, winter-scratched sidewalks, Nicolette Mall wind trying to exfoliate my face. Minneapolis does this thing where the sky is steel and the streetlights are tiny halos. I pass a cozy bar with fogged windows and a chalkboard that says Wine Wednesday. I love bars, I love a good drink. I also love surviving them. The thought of being told I'm dramatic for setting my own conditions turns my jaw into a square. I imagine a parallel timeline where I bend. We pick a cocktail place he chooses. I arrive, he orders for me with a wink, for the lady, and I have to smile and shake my head and say, no, I'll choose, and we're doing this dance. I picture how many small accommodations women make so a man they've known 20 minutes feels comfortable. The sum of those tiny bends is how people end up in shapes they don't recognize. I go home and do an audit of my dating SP, like I'm a one-woman risk department. Current rulebook. Sober first meet. My turf or a neutral third place. Daytime or early evening. Text 3 people the plan. I arrive and leave on my own wheels. If someone uses convince on me, I'm out. Then I add 2 new ones. Coffee shops with good sight lines and a bathroom in sight. If he unmatches mid-planning, I file weird and move on. The ending of this story isn't fireworks, it's housekeeping and choosing myself. I send Hinge support an email. Feature request, report after unmatch. I include a mock-up in Paint because I'm dramatic in useful ways. Then I make a list of sober first date ideas that don't suck. Pinball at Tilt, plant shopping at Mother Company, a loop around Lake BDE Maca Ska with a hot chocolate, the Mill City Museum on a quiet afternoon, browsing majors and Quinn then grabbing fries at a diner. Dates where your brain gets to be the main character. Later that week, the universe tosses me a test. New match. Not a model, not a let me inspect your perfection poet. He opens with, I don't drink much, but I make an elite hottish. I laugh out loud against my will. He suggests coffee. I suggest coffee and a walk. He says, love that, Tuesday 5? I'll be the one with the hat that looks warm, but actually isn't. Tuesday comes, we meet. We talk like normal humans whose self-esteem isn't floating in a martini. He asks me questions, answers mine, doesn't try to sell me a vibe. When we part, I'm stone cold sober and softly excited. I can remember everything. That feels revolutionary, which is its own kind of sad. I keep thinking about Alex, though, the unmatched thud. How quickly men turn your no into their exit wound and sprint. How many women will fold to avoid being called difficult and end up being called Uber home from a dark corner they didn't want to sit in. I keep picturing a little toggle in the app. This person unmatched you. Want to leave feedback? A kindness to our future selves, a breadcrumb for patterns. And because I like an ending with a bow, a week after Alex disappears, I'm at a friend's birthday at a busy spot in North Loop. I'm nursing a seltzer with lime. A different guy sidles up, sees the wedge, jokes. Ooh, going crazy tonight? I say, wild I know. He smiles and orders water too. Small thing, big thing. Sometimes the test isn't a loud red flag. It's a tiny green one. Sometimes horror is the pressure to share a bottle, so someone can share your boundaries for you. And sometimes safety is as simple as a lemon slice on ice and a man who doesn't need me to get blurry to like me. A couple of years ago I matched with this guy on OkCupid. I think that was the app one was using at the time. And, the conversation was cool, and he was my type physically, at least that's what I thought. He described himself as tall, dark, and handsome, said he was about 5 feet 9 inches, important because I'm 5 feet 9 inches. From England, worked in the city, half hour from me, no kids, never married, fresh out of a long-term relationship. He asked if we could FaceTime, and I said yes. Weird part, he didn't have an iPhone, so I had to download some random app to video him, but we did it, and he looked like the photos. So I'm like, fine, what's the harm? After a couple days of FaceTiming, he asks me out. I pick a place near my house, non-negotiable, and he's like, cool, I'll hop the train. He doesn't have a car, which where I live is normal-ish for the tri-state, so I don't flag it. What I do flag is him asking me to pick him up. Absolutely not, meet me there. The night comes. I'm fashionably late, I text him, running behind. He says, no problem, I'm already here, going to pop into a bar to warm up. Winter, icy wind that makes your ears cry. I park, adjust lipstick in the mirror, walk into the bar, and a stranger, short, flushed, starts waving like he's hailing a cab. It's him? Kind of. Same face, different scale. 5 feet 6 inches on a good day. Also very drunk. I mean warm bourbon breath and a smile that won't sit still. My brain does this little Windows error noise, but I'm already out, already wearing a cute sweater, so I pivot. Let's just eat. We walk to the restaurant. I've been there a dozen times, I know the staff, I know the bathroom code, I know which booth has the heater vent. We get seated. He orders a drink before water lands. Then another. Then shots. The conversation slides around, he's talking with his hands, knocking the salt, calling me princess 1 second and babe the next, then switching to an American trying to be London accent like, oh, I just adore your vibe, love. I'm sipping slowly, chewing slower. He leans in. Give me a kiss. First date. In the middle of the dining room. I laugh it off. He doesn't. Voice goes up half an octave. I said give me a kiss. The room shrinks. The waitress appears like she sensed a storm. I say, we're fine. With a smile women learn at 12. The one that means please watch me. He orders more shots. I'm shaking my head. He tips a glass and it taps over, amber everywhere. The waitress returns, blotting napkins. My opening. Bathroom. I say, clutching my phone like a rosary. The hallway mirror tells me I look calm. My hands disagree. I call my friend. Girl, he's drunk and weird. Friend says leave. Friend says I'm coming. Friend says share location. I hang up, breathe, open the door, and he's there. Planted outside the bathroom like a security guard nobody hired. Who are you calling? I wasn't voice memo, sorry, excuse me. He moves but slow. I slide past, back to the table, smile with all my teeth at the waitress. I make small talk, pretending normal. He keeps drinking normal's funeral. His stories get grand. He's part of a secret society. He knows someone here. The waiter is a member. He stands, wobbles outside for a smoke, to confer with the supposed brotherhood. Our waitress materializes. I tilt my head and she leans in. First date, I whisper. I'm uncomfortable. Her eyes say we know. We've told the manager, she says softly. We'll split the check. When he's outside again, we'll walk you out the back. He returns, red-cheeked, buzzing. He asks why the check is split. His fist hits the table. Not a punch, just a stamp that makes the silverware jump. The manager, a big guy with kind eyes, drifts over like he's admiring the specials. The chef peeks out from the kitchen, apron on, forearms like tree trunks. Collins glass, ketchup bottle. The whole table suddenly feels like props in a play about safety. I sign my half. Manager chats him at eye level, voice low. Chef mouths, ready? I nod. We go through the back. The hallway smells like onions and warm air. The chef walks me through the service door, into a lane behind the restaurant where the snow has turned to slush. The manager holds the door like a shield until I'm at the garage. "You good?" the chef asks. "Yes," I say, and it sounds like steam leaving a kettle. My phone vibrates. Unknown caller. Then again. Then again. By the time I reach my car, 30 calls for voicemails. I block. I sit for a minute with my forehead on the steering wheel, watching the fog of my breath bloom and fade. 2 days later I call the restaurant to thank them. I mention the waiter from the secret society. The manager pauses. "He never came back," he says. "Second night on the job. Just stopped showing up." The words hang there like a bad smell you can't place. I thank him again. I hang up. I think about it in the shower, while making coffee at red lights. Was the waiter real? Sure. Was the story? Or did my date just pick a random man outside and promote him to cult brother for dramatic effect? Either way, it fits the theme. Men who need mythologies to hide the boring truth. He lied, he drank, he wanted control. Do I think online dating can work? Sure. Do I think I'm already here, I'll just have a few drinks while I wait? Is an opening line for a horror anthology? Also yes. If you're going to date, date like a bouncer. Check ID, check vibe, know the exits, trust the staff. If your body whispers no, even if your mouth smiles, we're fine. Listen to the whisper. It's the only part of this whole circus that isn't trying to sell you something. We had met on Hinge. His name was Marcus. Single dad, nice smile, good shoulders, finally someone who looks as good as they seem, I thought. First date, sushi bar in Silver Lake, LA, warm night, fairy lights, his arm on the back of my chair. Conversation was easy, textured with small jokes. After, he suggested a lookout over the city. We sat on his car hood, lights below like melted stars. It was giving cinematic montage. We grabbed drinks at a bar after that. When we left, he kissed me, just enough electricity to make the world zoom in. The next day he texted. I deleted Hinge. Felt right, bold, impulsive, but I was floating. We had a second date the same week, a third soon after. He made me dinner. Steak, flowers, playlists. Always playlists. One for the drive, one for cooking, one for slow nights. When I was flying to Austin for a work mastermind, he made a custom one called Airport Baby. The cover photo was me mid-laugh from my Instagram story. I joked that he was love bombing, and he smiled like, "You say that like it's bad." He told me about his son, 5 years old, lives part-time with him. He talked about how I'd meet him when I'm ready. He asked my favorite snacks for movie nights. When I got on the plane to Austin, he texted, "Be safe, baby. I'll pick you up when you're back." And then silence. First day I thought work, school, parenting. Second day, maybe a dead phone. Third day, he posted a story. Not a word to me. I texted, "Hey, all good?" Hours later he replies, "You looked hot in your mentor's video." No emoji, no haha. A compliment coated in acid. I say thanks. He doesn't reply. Day 4, another message. "This is getting too relationship-y. I need to pour into my business right now." The business he never named, by the way. He drops this like a spreadsheet. I remind him, he's the one who said we were dating, who deleted the app, who made the Airport Baby playlist like we were in a Netflix montage. He pivots immediately to offense. "Don't act like I forced you." Then, "Also saw that TikTok you made, don't go on a date and talk about another guy." I blink. "Marcus, that was a thirst trap about oat milk." He goes, "I was really messed up when I said we were dating." And that's it. No apology. No ownership. Just air. Here's the part that got weird after, the shadows that spread. My friend sends me a screenshot from a local single moms group. "Anyone dated Marcus?" And the replies roll in like a chorus. Same pattern, playlists, early I deleted the app, cooking, love bombing, fade out. One woman said she did meet his son, sweet kid, real. Another said the business was a ghost. Vague projects, always investors calling, never results. The middle weeks after felt like caffeine withdrawal. My body missed the constant contact, the dopamine drip of attention. I scrolled through those playlists like evidence files. Song 1, Electric Feel. Song 6, Baby I'm Yours. The last song? Supercut. That one starts with, "In my head I play a supercut of us." I swear I laughed out loud. What an on-brand breakup anthem. I went to the beach to think, because that's what you do in LA. You go to the ocean to pretend it's listening. I sat there, wind pulling my hair into my mouth, replaying the entire movie. The steak night, the lookouts, the playlists. Every detail that had felt like chemistry was choreography. Marcus wasn't improvising affection. He was performing it like a well-rehearsed role. So I do what any 21st century woman with Wi-Fi does, research. I find his name linked to a podcast, 3 episodes about self-mastery and masculine energy. He calls himself a relationship architect. No mention of being a dad. I listened to one episode. He's talking about the illusion of modern dating. I nearly choke when he says, women fall for fantasy because they crave validation, not partnership. The irony so thick you could spread it on toast. That's the moment I stopped being sad and started being fascinated. I realized the playlist wasn't romantic, it was conditioning. Like Pavlov's Spotify. Every track he made was designed to set a mood, control an emotion, make me remember him on cue. Airport Baby wasn't a love note, it was a leash. I almost got murdered today, and this is what happened. I matched with this guy on Bumble. We talked, exchanged a few messages back and forth, and then we switched to WhatsApp. We decided to go on a date. He planned one for today. When I asked him to send me what bar we're going to, he sent me a postcode and said, meet here. I Google the postcode, whack it in maps. It's a random flat. Residential street. Nothing around it. I'm like, what is this? I don't want to meet here. Can we just meet at the bar? He goes, no, just meet me here, we'll walk together. I say again, can I please meet you at the bar? He's still like, just meet me here. Meanwhile, he's chosen somewhere an hour away by tube. On a Tuesday. I was supposed to be in the office, then across the city after, and I really don't want to get back late and have to Uber home for 30 quid. He's like, it's not far at all, walk across the bridge, then 1 stop on the tube. Bro, it's still an hour. I say, can we meet in the middle? He refuses, digging his heels in like the venue is carved into stone because he lives there. Then the reservation lie. He goes, well, I can't change it now. Had to put my credit card down. They'll charge me if I cancel less than 24 hours. I go on the bar's website. Book a table. No card required. I could put Mickey and 2 guests, and they'd roll out a candle. At this point, every alarm bell in my body is playing percussion. Something says reverse image search him. I upload a photo to a face search site. Instantly up pops a fitness model, German, completely different name. Same photos. Same gym mirror. Same sunset at the lake, bicep. The guy I've been messaging has stolen a stranger's life off Instagram. I scroll, and my stomach falls through the floorboards. Entire profile hijacked. Captions in German. Geotags in Berlin. He's not 5 minutes from the bar. He's not even 5 minutes from the whole country. I screenshot everything. I send him the collage. His Bumble pics next to the German model's Instagram grid. I say, explain. He goes quiet, then comes back with, haha, why are you being dramatic? Just meet me at the postcode, we can laugh about this. The postcode again. Always the postcode. Like if he can just get me to the edge of a residential street, he'll improvise the rest. I zoom street view. It's a tired terrace, frosted glass doors, a recycling bin with someone else's house number. No sign of a bar. No sign of anything except a place you could vanish into without making a noise. I push. If you want to meet, send the bar's name and I'll see you there. He takes forever to reply, then finally coughs up a name. I check. It's a place that's open fine, but still a full hour from me. I say, let's meet halfway. He sends a paragraph about how I'm making a big deal, that the Uber is only a $5, that I'm overthinking. Entitlement with emojis. I can practically hear the wheedle in his voice. I decide no. I tell him we can reschedule, somewhere central, somewhere busy. He throws the card deposit lie again. I paste a screenshot. No deposit required. He types and deletes 3 dots for ages. Then he pivots to guilt. I've already set aside my evening. His evening? With whose face? The logistics get creepier in hindsight. He never said, see you at 7. Just make your way soon. Like he needed a head start. He didn't suggest a platform, a landmark, or the bar door, just that dead residential pin. He wouldn't text me the venue until I pushed. He tried to rush me, isolate me, and plant me on his turf where he knew the corners and shadows. So I do 3 things. 1. Report him on Bumble with the screenshots. 2. Block him on WhatsApp before he can reply. 3. Message my flatmate. If I'm ever stupid enough to meet a man at a random postcode, physically restrain me. Then I sit with the adrenaline hum and imagine the date that almost was. He meets me at the pin. Oh, the bar's just round here, he says, steering us down a side street with the flats and quiet bins. Actually, my buzzer's broken, but we can wait inside. Concierge knows me. Or, I forgot my card upstairs. Come up 2 minutes? Or, it's raining. We can call an Uber from the lobby, where there is no lobby. Maybe he wanted a hallway, a lift, an echo chamber. Maybe he just wanted control. Make me ignore my own map, so I'll ignore my own voice. I messaged the bar anyway, just to be petty, asking about their credit card policy. They reply within 5 minutes with a smiley face and no deposit needed unless party of 8+. Imagine lying with a smiley. I can verify in 3 taps. The middle bit of this mess is boring and useful. I turn detective. I look again at his WhatsApp profile video, the gym set. Pause on a frame with a yellow socket that isn't UK standard. I clock a calendar on the wall with weekdays starting on Montag. I notice his London skyline selfie is actually a stock shot of the Thames used on a travel blog. Tiny watermark in the corner he badly cropped. He used cheers wrong in a sentence. He wrote, "The bar is far from me house," and I wanted to annotate, "Me house? Pirate vibes?" The mask was slipping in punctuation. No, because let's talk about this. I've been complaining about this religiously to my friends back home, that there is something wrong with the men left in the dating pool. What is this thing where you match, go on a few dates, start to like each other, and the second you're like, okay, let's do this, he goes, "Wait, did you actually think I wanted to date you?" I had this happen to me back to back, like 2 or 3 times. The most bizarre? An Asian guy named David, back in July. And I don't even know why I'm telling you he's Asian, because it doesn't matter. Except that every irrelevant detail stuck to this situation like rain to Seattle pavement. We had immediate animal magnetism vibes. Dumb chemistry. The kind where a glance feels like an elbow to the ribs. And then first wobble, when I asked his schedule, he stopped picking up calls, only texting. I was like, "So we can link up and make plans." And he goes, "You're getting too attached." As if asking which day works for him was a sudden proposal on the Jumbotron. I pulled back. We went quiet. The city kept being itself. Cool gray coffee construction. Weeks later we reconnect. I go to Spain for a trip. Now he's blowing up my phone in a good way. Sunstreak selfies, flirty videos. Wish you were here energy. Then mid-trip, radio silence. 2 days. 3. When I check in, he tells me I'm behaving like a stalker. And to take the hint, bro. Alright. He blocks me, unfollows, disappears. And then, because this is an absurdist play, he starts watching my stories anyway. Every week. Type my name in, barehanded, just to peep. Fast forward to January. I'm on Hinge. He somehow rematched me. Not a new chat, like actually the same man, slinking back in the door he locked. He texts, "Yes I did," and nothing else. I let it bake a week, because curiosity is a hater. Eventually I rematch for the plot, and we restart. We hang out all weekend, him, me, his best friend. It's disgustingly cute. We're soft and domestic for 72 hours, coffee runs, dog walks, shoulder squeezes. Then we're walking his dog, and I tug him into a hug, and he stiff arms me like a linebacker. "Don't get attached to me," he says. My soul leaves my body, hails a lift. I go home, and put my head in the freezer for the drama. The next weekend he's clearly on a date. Instagram detective work, please rise. And I ask, why rematch me? Why reel me back if you don't want the fish? He says he's struggling with his emotions, needs to work on himself, has anger issues from what my ex did, but hopes one day someone will give me butterflies and fix me. Then he says he's kidding. Then he says he's not kidding. Then he says I'm too attached. It's like arguing with a ball of yarn. That's the outline. Now let me put you in the rain with me. Seattle does a particular gray on days like this, and inside of an oyster gray. Buses sighing on wet streets, gulls heckling the ferries. We meet around Capitol Hill, the kind of place where the coffee shop has a zine rack and 3 different kinds of oat milk. David is funny in a way that makes waiters linger. He's telling me weird facts. Octopuses have beaks, by the way, while tapping his thumbs against the mug like he's keeping time with a noise only he hears. His voice can go boyish in a second. It can also sharpen to a chisel when he talks about his ex. With David, it's always a half step forward, half step back. He'll send good morning voice notes that sound like the start of a playlist, then leave me on read for 24 hours when I ask Thursday or Friday. He'll offer to cook, then ask if we can just vibe with no labels, while putting chopped cilantro in a bowl like it's stage blocking. He's a paper lantern, warm glow, thin walls. And I'm not a saint in this either. I crowdsource my sanity to the group chat like it's a civic duty. We name his moves. The soft launch, "Hey stranger." The tug, "You free tonight?" The freeze, do not get attached. We create a bingo card. Not ready but wants access. Talks about butterflies. Watches stories after blocking. Full row. The middle stretch is long. Little scenes that look like progress and are actually loops. Pike Place on a weekday. Us ducking tourists to buy flowers that droop in the rain. Volunteer Park Conservatory where we fog the glass with our laughing, and he says, "You're the only person I can really breathe with." Which sounds like a promise until he disappears for 48 hours because his phone died. Phones resurrect every day at 9 a.m., apparently. A dive bar with pinball. He pockets my quarters, wins, gives me the points. A night making pasta where he kisses my forehead and I think, okay, fine, we're doing this. And then he sits up afterward like a shot and says, "I don't want expectations," like I handed him a bill. Meanwhile, the story viewing continues. The petty part of me posts specifically for him. A picture of me laughing with friends in the rain. The Space Needle pretending it's a spaceship. A bowl of pho with the caption "healed." His username pops to the top of the viewer list like a buoy. The internet is a haunted house of men who want the window seat on your life. One Sunday I make a spreadsheet. Yes, a spreadsheet, because my heart needed a spreadsheet more than a poem. Column A, date. Column B, what he did. Column C, what he said. Column D, how I felt before. Column E, after. The pattern arrives with the elegance of a tide chart. He accelerates when I'm far, Spain. He retreats when I'm near, hug on the dog walk. He collects me like a tab he never plans to pay. This is the part where the story could have ended with me begging. Instead, I try something I learned from talking to myself like a friend. I ask for a real conversation in daylight. We sit at a table by a window. I say, "I'm not asking for a wedding. I'm asking for consistency." He abandons eye contact like it's on fire. "I told you," he starts. "I heard you," I say. "I'm just telling you that when you rematch me, cook for me, spend the weekend, kiss me, talk about the future, and then say don't get attached, you're building a sandcastle and calling it a house." The server drops our waters like punctuation. He says the thing about butterflies again, softer this time. He says he can't be my boyfriend. I say, "Okay." He blinks because he expected argument, not acceptance. I sip water. I ask for my Tupperware back like a grown woman reclaiming her lentils from the abyss. We hug like people who might be friends in a different universe. We are not in that universe. The ending isn't cinematic. It's administrative. I mute his stories so I don't notice when he notices me. I stop posting things aimed at ghosts. I take long walks where the sidewalks buckle under cedar roots and my phone stays in my pocket. I kiss someone new who does not make me feel like a yanked plug. We sit by the water and talk about nothing. I remember how quiet a body can feel when it's not waiting. Weeks later, David views a story again. Of course he does, and messages a lowercase, "Hey." I don't block, I know. I let it sit. At midnight I reply with a template I wrote for myself. "Hey David, hope you're well. For my own peace, I'm only doing mutual, consistent energy. If that's not where you're at, no hard feelings. Take care." I put the phone down. The rain taps. Somewhere a fairy horn lowers its head and moves on. In the morning, there's no reply, which is actually the most honest ending he's given me. I got catfished. Love that for me. No, but in all seriousness, Hinge, count your mother effing days. Summer 2021, I was in the trenches, babes. Fresh out of the worst relationship ever, crumb-level romance, nada. We split. I was like, I want good love, something real, something decent that doesn't make my mom side-eye me at Sunday dinner. So what do? Download Hinge. Expecting to find love on Hinge is insane. Like saying, "I'm starving," and then checking a stranger's glove box for snacks. You swipe through so much of what you don't like just to find someone even a quarter of your time. I'm ready to delete the app, and then, ding, like from Tall Chocolate Handsome. Boxes? Going ding ding ding. He looked like a magazine spread, smile that could open bank vaults, hoodie that said soft, jawline that said hard. Nothing about the profile screamed catfish. In hindsight, that was clue number 1. We message. Banter is breezy, punctuation properly used, rare. He goes, "We should FaceTime sometime," which I clock as green flag because catfish don't volunteer video, right? He calls audio only. Baby steps, I tell myself. He answers and goes in this chirpy, oddly formal voice. "Hello, you alright, how are you?" And no disrespect to anyone's tone, but the voice did not match the photos. It was giving Mr. Bean reading the tube announcements. I'm too polite, so I stay on, talk about weather, movies, whether jollof should have peas, no. I hang up, stare at my ceiling like, girl. I text the group chat. He ticks boxes, but the voice. My girls, behave. Don't be shallow. He might treat you right. I agree to a date. Growth. And then the messages shift. It's not conversation anymore. It's copy-paste compliments like he typed beautiful sexy pung into a blender. You are so beautiful, sexy, pretty, like wow, I keep looking at your picture. I get the heebie-jeebies, the kind where your scalp tightens. To distract, I ask about his place because he casually mentioned a central London flat. He sends videos, but they're cropped tight, only chin, only wall, only curtain. I ask for a tour, and he sends screenshots. Not videos, not even his camera roll, literal screenshots from a real estate site, right-click save as energy. The living room has a green velvet sofa I've seen in an ad. My eyebrow touches my hairline. The voice note from him goes, yes, this is my living room, I like minimalistic. Meanwhile, in his earlier clips, the background was all tiled floors and a ceiling fan that looked very Lagos in August. For real, where are you? I tease. He replies with a laughing emoji and London, baby. No walla. The pigeon feels borrowed, the baby sticks to my skin like a bad sticker. I say fine, we can meet at Broadway Market, easy for me, nice for a walk. He keeps asking, where exactly? Again and again, like a tourist pinching the map. In hindsight, clue number 2. Between chats, my brain starts doing detective. I spot the green sofa again on a property site. The listing has a virtual tour and the same bowl of lemons. He's got no lemons in his videos because there are no videos. I drag one of his photos into reverse image search. No obvious hit, but the vibe is stock model for hire. I zoom in. The reflection in his sunglasses is a beach that absolutely is not Brighton. The clouds look like Lagos as my cousin filmed it, all heat white and tall. The night before the date, he sends, I will start making my way soon. It's 11 p.m. for a 2 p.m. meet tomorrow. Make your way from where, sir? Heathrow? Yaba Market? I draft a period pain excuse because my gut is tap dancing. Then he voice notes in that cheerful stage-trained accent. I can't wait to see you, my beautiful sexy pung. The ick becomes capital I ick. Morning of, I dress anyway because sometimes you need to see the red flag in daylight to believe it. I put on hoops and an attitude. He texts, just going to start making my way. A minute later, message failed. Then, this user is no longer available. I jumped to Hinge, profile vanished. Blocked on WhatsApp too, like he fell through a trapdoor. That's the thing about catfish, the escape hatch is already built. But the story didn't stop when he disappeared, it widened. My thinking spiraled through all the almosts. Almost met at an alley near his postcode because it's easier. Almost followed him to a flat with the green sofa and lemons, owned by someone who's never met him. Almost ignored the voice mismatch, the rental screenshots, the time zone shadows in his room. Almost let someone narrate me into being the girl who doubts her senses. Later, a friend sends me a screen recording, a Telegram channel where media packages are sold, whole lives for rent. 30 quid gets you a folder, 6 gym mirror selfies, a boomerang at a brunch, a video of someone else's hand turning a key in someone else's lock. Add scripts, call her baby, mention your flat, say you hate FaceTime because you're old school. If you stumble, love bomb. If she questions, neg her. Why you so suspicious? If she still resists, ghost, new alias by tea time. My stomach flips. The green sofa wasn't a coincidence, it was a catalog page. That night, I play back our call in my head. The way his cheeriness had a lag, like he was routing through 3 apps and a prayer. The way he tried on accents like Coates, RP cheers, lovely one sentence, borrowed pigeon the next. The way he said Broadway Market, like he'd read it on a t-shirt. The way the word baby came too soon, too slick, like bait on a hook. I imagine the date that didn't happen. He arrives 30 minutes late, smelling like cologne decanted into a water bottle. He steers me away from crowds. Let's talk somewhere quiet. He forgets the name of the street he lives on, jokes that his buzzer is broken, suggests we wait inside the lobby, that turns out to be the entrance of an entirely different building. Maybe he tries to separate me from my phone. Oh, your battery? I've got a charger upstairs. Maybe he's locked out and asks me to hold his bag while he makes a call, and I'm holding it when a concierge appears and now I'm the one explaining. Or maybe he just wants time, to keep talking until your yes slides out of your mouth like your breath in winter. Instead, the ending is quieter. I make tea. I sit at my window and watch Hackney do its Sunday. dog walkers, bikes, a toddler wailing at pigeons. I open my phone, scroll to the chat thread that now says, "You can't reply to this conversation." I press and hold, delete, feel petty and powerful. I create a note called First Date Rules and type, daylight. Your turf. Your table. Tell 2 people where you are. Video before meet. Don't apologize for your ick. My girls ask if I'm sad. Not really. I'm unsettled in a useful way. It's like finding out your smoke alarm works. Shrill, but it could save your life. I replay the moment he blocked me before I could cancel. There's a relief in his vanishing act. He saved me the trouble of listening to my own good sense. Sometimes horror is a jump scare, door knocking, breath at your ear. Sometimes it's a drip, voice that doesn't match, lemons that repeat, a green sofa that travels room to room. Sometimes the monster is a shared Google Drive. The long-awaited Hinge MCH story time. To preface, this happened in 2021 to 22, a couple years ago. I was actively looking for a relationship, putting way too much faith in Hinge. I was like, I'm about to find my husband, and instead I found creepy stalker man. This guy wasn't even one of my matches, he was sitting in my likes. His opener was sweet, very Midwest nice, in sentence form. Not my usual type, but I told myself, be open-minded, Kayla. We chatted a couple days, and he asked for a FaceTime date tomorrow. I don't know why I agreed, but I did. The day of, my stomach does that little elevator drop, the weird pit. Something is off. A few hours before the call, I unmatch him. 20 minutes later, I get an Instagram request. Hi Kayla, it's Name from Hinge. You wouldn't believe what just happened. He explains that our chat vanished, that Hinge says I unmatched, and he was perplexed, but where there's a will there's a way. And then he lists what he knows, my name, my job title, my face. Was that enough to find you online? I didn't think so, but I told myself I'd give it my best shot. My whole ribcage folds inward. I don't answer, because I'm trying not to encourage this TED talk on persistence, and also my hands are shaking. 5 minutes after the DM, my work email dings with the subject line, Treat AS Urgent. I open it, thinking it's a client. It's him. Corporate tone, greeting me by my full first name like a recruiter, and then the recap. We matched on Hinge about a week ago, exchanged a couple texts. Planned a phone call date for Wednesday evening. I texted you back, then your chat vanished. I searched and found you on LinkedIn, and then Instagram. Your Instagram is lit, by the way, where I found your email. I also sent you a DM earlier. My vision does that little tunnel thing. I close my laptop and stare at my living room wall, where a plant is overachieving and the radiator is hissing like Chicago radiators do. Snow is falling like dust outside. It's Thursday for 17 p.m., and I can hear the L rattling from my window, the orange line doing its best. Here's the thing about Midwest socialization. My first reflex is to feel guilty. Guilty for unmatching. Guilty for not explaining. Guilty that he went to such effort. My inner Annie voice goes, maybe right back nicely. My survival voice goes, he just jumped 3 communication channels like Mario hitting warp pipes. That is not romantic. That is escalation. I don't respond. I double-check my Instagram privacy settings like I'm inspecting locks after a loud noise. I put my account back on private. I remove my email from my bio. I change my LinkedIn to show only first name and last initial. I add 2FA everywhere like I'm Fort Knox with lip gloss. That night, I tell 2 friends. One sends me the eyeball emojis, then absolutely not. The other sends me a link to a post about digital boundary setting. I think about every time a woman's intuition saved her, and every time someone told her she was dramatic. The pit in my stomach stops asking for permission and just stays. He doesn't stop, though. Next morning, I wake up to another email. Follow up. Sorry to bother you via work email, totally inappropriate, but I'm out of options. Out of options, sir? You had one option, accept the unmatch. He writes, I really want to get to know you, my interest hasn't wavered. He signs off with warm regards, like we just negotiated a printer contract. I don't reply. I do, however, screenshot. I'm not the NSA, but apparently I am. I save the DM, the emails, his LinkedIn view ping. I move through my day, the city doing Chicago outside, snow slush then a sudden sun cameo. I make coffee, answer real work. Every time my inbox pings, my shoulders climb to my ears. Midday, he sends one more. The subject line has my first name again, like he wants to prove he knows it. I understand if I've made you uncomfortable. It's just we had a plan. Had. Past tense. Every sentence is a nudge back into a script where I owe him something because he was willing. The through line is clear. Persistence presented as virtue, boundary presented as puzzle. The middle of this story stretches with small, ordinary scenes now wired with static. I walk to get a coffee near the loop, scarf up to my eyes. Winter downtown is a mirror factory, glass buildings reflecting more glass, sky low like a ceiling. I pass 3 different men holding doors, all normal, all fine. And still, when my phone buzzes in my pocket, my heart jumps hard enough to season the latte. I decide to make a list, because I love lists almost as much as I love safety. Title: New Dating SOP. Treat any, where there's a will rhetoric as a red flag, not a Valentine. If we haven't met, you don't get cross-channel access. FaceTime before meeting, always. No shared last names, workplaces, or emails until I decide. If he finds me after an unmatch, it's a no with prejudice. I write it on a sticky note and plaster it to my fridge next to a recipe for banana bread. Boundaries next to butter. It looks domestic and righteous. A week passes. He stops emailing. I unclench. The city thaws and refreezes like it can't decide. I start seeing a guy who asks me out for hot chocolate instead of craft cocktails, who doesn't mind that I say, "We can meet at the cafe. I prefer first dates in public daylight with a door I know." He says, "Same." Like it's normal. We talk about stupid things, why are Chicago pigeons built like linebackers, and big things, how you know you're safe. After, he says, "Text me when you get home," and then doesn't text me again until I do. The bar for normalcy is low, and yet, stepping over it feels like flight. I wish the story ended here with muted romance and good cocoa. But because the internet is a haunted house with great Wi-Fi, it circles back. 2 months later, I get a new email from a name I don't recognize. "Hi Kayla, this is going to sound weird, but did his name ever contact you after Hinge?" She found my business email via Instagram the same way he did, but her tone is a soft landing. She explains, he reached out to her the same way. Unmatched, then LinkedIn, then email. She felt crazy for being creeped out until she Googled his name and found my TikTok about trust your gut. She says, "Your video made me feel sane. My shoulders go from ears to clavicle." I write back. We compare notes like scientists in a rom-com about plague. The same opener, the same subject line theater, the same perplexed. We both have Midwestern niceness that wants to apologize to a wall if we bump it. We both almost apologize to him. We report to the app, we include screenshots. We write in polite bullet points with dates like paralegals. Hinge replies with a canned, "Thanks for keeping the community safe." It's not justice, but it's something. I screenshot that too, because apparently my camera roll is now a legal archive. The ending I give myself is small and sturdy. I clean my apartment on a Sunday. Vacuum lines in the rug, lemon cleaner. A candle that smells like not being haunted. I bake the banana bread, the sticky note fluttering like a tiny yellow flag. I walk to the lake even though the wind is a bully. Gulls heckle me, I heckle back. I think about how easy it is to confuse effort with care, when actually care respects your no. Effort tries to pry it up with a screwdriver. I write a little script for future Kayla who might need it. "Hey, unmatching means I've changed my mind. Please don't contact me off platform. I wish you well. Do not reach out again." My friend went on a date last night that was so brutal I have to bring it to you immediately. Partly because it's a funny story, in the way a roller coaster is funny when you're back on the ground. Partly as a PSA to the women of Toronto that this man is walking our streets. Preface: my friend is gorgeous and not remotely insecure. She and a guy had been doing the cute pre-date lead-up, daily calls, a couple FaceTimes, witty messages that landed. They picked Myth on King West because she likes the mezzies, and the lighting makes everybody look like they sleep 8 hours. They sit, they order. So far, so normal. And then the neighboring table of women becomes a third character. From the jump, he can't stay put. As soon as she gets up to pee, he's at their table doing stand-up. When she comes back, one of the girls, Bang's chrome manicure, has floated to her table, cozy in her chair, purring, "You're so hot, don't worry," like my friend was supposed to be grateful for the consolation prize of validation from a stranger. On his way back, he says, beaming, "They're pumping my tires." He says it again, louder, as if it's an achievement unlocked. "You hear that? They're pumping my tires." That's strange on a first date, my friend says, light, diplomatic. He goes slick, "Babe, it's jokes, relax." Then needling, "Don't be insecure." It becomes a loop. She goes to the bathroom. the one with the expensive soap that smells like fig. He migrates back to the Greek chorus. The Greek chorus migrates back to her. Knives flash from the kitchen. The DJ leans on a remix. A streetcar dings by King, red and patient. Every time she returns, there's a new configuration that involves him preening in the reflection of the window like he's checking his hair in a pond. At some point, one of the women murmurs to my friend, "Don't worry, you're so hot." And it lands like a pat on a dog, patronizing bomb with a side of sabotage. My friend smiles with all her molars and says, "I know, because she is a scientist of boundaries and also tired." He takes offense on cue. "Wow, confident much?" The orchestra of smirks at the next table tunes up. They eat. She picks at grilled octopus while he eats compliments. The server delivers mint tea. He delivers lines about energy and vibes to the women like he's on a tasting menu of attention. When the bill comes, he slaps his card down like a badge and then watches her face. She thanks the server. She forgets, because she's trying not to snort laugh at the phrase "pumping my tires" still echoing, to perform a whole gratitude ritual to him in the 5 seconds before the server whisks the folio away. The tires need more air. Outside, King West is doing its Friday night jam. Ubers double parked, groups negotiating coats, sodium light catching sequins. A lake breeze sneaks up the avenues from Queen's Quay, smelling faintly of pennies and cold glass. He offers to drive her home. Because she is polite and tired, and the TTC is playing coy with headways, she says okay. He opens the passenger door with a flourish that says chivalry, then gets in and turns the ignition with a flourish that says "This is my stage now." "You didn't even thank me for dinner," he says before the seatbelts click. She blinks. "I said thanks to the server." "To me," he says, index finger tapping the steering wheel in a little metronome of aggrievement. "Wild," she says evenly. "It's 2024 and we thank the staff." They pull onto Spadina, past construction cranes that never sleep, and he goes for the fight like it's dessert. "Women these days," he starts, "always a sign, always a cliff." She unsubscribes. He keeps talking anyway. "I just think it's funny how mad you got when those girls were hitting on me. I think it's funny you kept leaving our table to talk to them. You can't take a joke. You can't take a boundary. You're insecure. You're underinflated without an audience." He barks a laugh that isn't even trying to be nice. "They were just pumping my tires, babe." They hit a red at Lake Shore in Simcoe. The CN Tower is blinking in different purple, like an enormous metronome for bad dates. He keeps poking. "So what, you're jealous?" The weirdest part is how little he cares whether she's having a good time. He just needs her to be a mirror. "We could have gone back there and invited them to join us," he says, as if first dates are a group project. He wants her to be grateful for the prize of proximity to his desirability. "Pull over," she says. "I'll get a car." He keeps driving. "Relax, I'm dropping you." "No, really," she says. "Just pull over near Queen's Quay." He accelerates into the next point. "It's wild how you didn't even say thanks." She looks out the window at the lake, black and flattened, and thinks about how the city warns you with signs. "Mind the gap, slippery when wet, no swimming." There is no sign for men who need a crowd to feel real. They stop eventually, because traffic does what boundaries don't. She opens the door and he turns to her a last volley. "You know, this is why you're single." She smiles at the skyline, which persists, and says, "This is why I'm safe." She gets out. The door thunk is a hymn. The Uber arrives in 2 minutes, because sometimes God is in the algorithm. The driver, an older man with kind eyes and a Raptors lanyard, takes one look at her face and says, "You okay?" in that soft Toronto way that lands like flannel. She says, "First date," and his mouth does a sympathetic line. "Hop in." Seats warm. They ride with the lake on one side and condos on the other, the CN Tower winking like "We've seen worse." She tells the whole story in the length of a light cycle, staccato, shocked laughing. He says, "Men, like a prayer." At her building he puts the car in park and says, "I'll walk you to the door." She protests, he insists. Outside he adds, "This rides on me," and taps something in the app she wants to cry from the whiplash of casual cruelty and casual care. The trunk clicks shut, gentle punctuation. A small noise that says, "You're home now." Okay, that's the plot. Here's the texture. If you're not from here, King West is chaos in a shiny shoe, taxi lights blinking like eyes, restaurants with bathrooms nicer than your apartment. Myth is a place where olive oil is an aesthetic and the music is a smidge too loud so people lean in. That Greek chorus of women? Smirks like knives, sisterhood with an asterisk. They weren't villains, They were props he cast as fans in a play called Man with Inflatable Confidence. My friend became a prop, too, the silent girlfriend while he workshopped lines. The charm was slick, the need was bottomless. He called it pumping my tires because he needed air. What he meant was, I need constant external fuel or I deflate. In the car, it shifted from cosmopolitan satire to a smaller horror, the private stage. No audience except her, no laugh track to drown out the jab 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 of "you didn't thank me." He wanted to draw her into a fight he'd already written. When she didn't read his lines, he accused her of bad acting. You're insecure. That's the trick, weaponize confidence as a cudgel until you feel tall. Meanwhile, the tower blinked and the lake breathed and the streetcar sighed by, and the city was like, this isn't new. Gladly we made it to the date. He's walking to the door, and I'm just waiting, I'm nervous. This is the update we've all been waiting for. Okay, so we ended up going to this restaurant called Mexican Sugar. It's that vibey Tex-Mex spot with string lights and AC so cold it gives you character. We're a few minutes late, whatever, and he's actually cute in daylight. Good smile, taller than me in heels, crisp shirt. The banter's easy, and then we hit that weird cosmic moment, birthdays. When's yours? 9/11. I laugh, no way. Mine too. We both pull out IDs like we're trading Pokemon cards. The server sets down chips. We clink waters like it's fate light. Dinner flows. He's not a drinker. I get a margarita. We share enchiladas like civilized raccoons. He's funny in the harmless dad way, asks about my kid without flinching, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is normal. After he's like, let's just chat in my car for a bit, which turns into wanna come back to mine, watch a movie? I know, but the vibe felt safe enough and he's been respectful. I drive separately because I like my exits with engines. Dallas night is big sky and wide lanes, the kind of heat that sits on your lap. His apartment complex is shiny new, but inside is sparse. Roommate on the couch, a single bedroom with one giant bed they share for now. No TV. I watch on my laptop since college, which is suddenly giving freshman year. He's apologetic, we just moved in, and I'm trying not to judge. We step onto the little patio to garden for like 5 minutes because we're adults and the day was long. When we come back in, he shifts. Like, the tone changes from chill to ceremonial. He opens a drawer, pulls out a tiny vanilla oil, and rolls it on his wrist. You seem like a vanilla girl, he says, smiling. Smell. Okay, cute. Then he grabs a perfume bottle, mists the air, and goes, let me show you how a Muslim woman perfumes herself. Before I can ask what that means, he starts spraying me. Not a spritz, a soaking. Atomizer hissing like a snake, fabric wet, hair damp, me frozen in a cloud of sweet. Okay. I laugh, plead, stepping back. He's earnest but intense, like he's teaching a lab. It's part of respect, he says. My throat catches on the sugar. I'm scented like a bakery that lost a fight. I'm already planning my exit, but I need my car. He offers to drive me back to the restaurant lot. We'll grab yours and then maybe you come back, he's hopeful. We get in, he turns the key, and the AC sighs like a church. Then he brightens. You like Taylor Swift? Before I answer, he's blasting a chorus and, swear to God, singing at performance level while swerving into sport mode. Wanna see, he says, downshifts, and the car jumps like a spooked horse. We take a turn too hot and kiss the edge of a median. My hand is on the O-handle, and my stomach is doing parkour. Hey, slow down. I say calm but motherly. He laughs. I got you. And speeds up a hair just to show me he's in charge. The lane lines blur. I'm counting streetlights between breaths. We park by Mexican Sugar, and he kills the music mid-bridge, which is almost ruder than the driving. He reaches for me like the date owes him a final scene. The kiss starts fine, then tilts heavy, hands wandering, insistence, the pressure of someone fast-forwarding. I pull back. I have to pick up my son. I say truth and boundary in one sentence. He deflates, tries a joke. We can be quick. I shake my head. No rush here. My voice is firm, and it surprises even me how steady it sounds through a gallon of vanilla. He tries once more, softer. Come back after? No. I say, not unkindly. The night flickers between siren and silence. I choose the silence. He pivots into disappointment theater, sigh lighting like I've broken a ceremonial law. I open my door, and that thunk feels like a gavel. Outside, the parking lot hums with cicadas and distant tires. Big Texas sky, small safe choices. So I have a Tinder man horror story, and this happened like 3 weeks ago, and I'm going to tell you about it, okay? We matched, we texted for a few days, and he was like, when are you going to plan our date? Little red flag, but I let it slide. Then, out of nowhere, he texts, first time we meet, we're going raw. I don't use protection. That's how I mark my territory. I stared at the screen like it owed me rent. I told him absolutely not. We argued, and I ghosted. I forgot one thing though. I still had him on Snapchat. Fast forward to Saturday. Miami is doing its Miami thing. Air like hot syrup, ocean salt hitching a ride on every breeze. My girls and I get ready, sparkly eyeshadow, tiny bags that hold exactly one lip gloss and a prayer. We pile into a lift-blasting Karol G, show up at a Wynwood spot where the bass thumps your organs into different zip codes. I take a boomerang at the bar, neon sign, clink, wink, and upload it without thinking. Snap Map turns my night into a red that says, come find me. 20 minutes later, a voice behind me says my name in a way that makes my spine go ice. Didn't think you'd be here, he grins. The Tinder creep in a muscle tee, smelling like cologne and hubris. I feel my face do that polite frozen thing women do when we're calculating exits. You followed my snap, I say. Nah, I was in the neighborhood, he lies, eyes scanning my body like TSA with extra time. He leans in to hug without asking. I step back. He steps forward like we're magnets. His hands find my waist. I peel them off. He laughs in my ear. Don't be shy, mommy. Then the thing, he grabs my jaw and tries to kiss me, sloppy and forceful. The room shrinks. The reggaeton hook keeps looping, pareo, pareo, like it's mocking me. This is where my girlfriends earn their saint cards. Jess slides between us so fast her glitter leaves a comet trail. Lena touches my elbow, code for we're moving now. Across the floor, my guy friend Luis clocks the scene, bulldozes through a bachelor party, and materializes at my shoulder. You good? He asks, already squaring his body to block. The creep tries to snake an arm around me again, and Luis's voice drops an octave. My dude, step back. When the creep doesn't, Luis points to the bouncer like he's calling a play. The bouncer nods once, the kind of nod that ends hobbies, and starts over. The creep pivots to pleading. Babe, I came to see you, he says, squeezing my forearm hard enough to bruise. Let go. I say calm because my anger is a clean flame now. The bouncer arrives. 3 sentences later, he's guiding the creep to the door. The neon turns the guy's face a cartoon red. Outside, he spins to shout something about me being a tease, the classic chorus for men who mistake access for entitlement. The door swallows him. The bass swallows my shaking. We regroup in the bathroom, where the air smells like salt and sugar and someone's vanilla body spray. I rinse my wrists in the sink, because that feels like a ritual. Jess is already toggling her phone. Turn off Snap Map, she says, like a nurse with a shot. I open settings, tap ghost mode, watch the little icon slide green like a gate finally closing. I scroll to privacy and nuke quick ad and location. Lena squeezes my shoulders. You did everything right, she says. I nod, not because I believe it yet, but because her voice gives me a place to stand. My phone buzzes. He's found my number again. New line? Friend's phone? And the texts start. Sorry about earlier. I'll make it up to you. Pull up to my place. I'll prove I'm different. The kind of apology that is really a leash. Then a call. Then another. I block one contact, then another. I feel the shape of my fear change. It's still there, but it's orderly like boxes I can stack. We decide the night is over on purpose, not because it beat us. Luis walks us to the curb, stands with his arms crossed while we wait for the car, a human do not disturb sign. On the ride home he pays without telling us, says, this one's on me, and does that quiet uncle thing where you don't argue because it's love wearing a seatbelt. I'm currently being ghosted by a man who wanted me first. Let's talk about it. The jokes write themselves. I'm at a Super Bowl watch party in DC. Think buffalo dip and bipartisan shade. When I notice him noticing me. He keeps glancing over from the kitchen island where the guys are yelling about cover. Too like it's C-SPAN. He wanders over during commercials with a plate of sliders, opens with, I had to come meet the prettiest girl in the room. I roll my eyes internally, but I'm smiling, because I like a confident opener when it's not a dissertation. We talk football, brunch spots. Whether brunch is a DC religion, it is. He laughs at my joke about the Metro's doors closing voice being my sleep alarm. He asks for my Instagram, then my number. On his way out he calls me, actually calls, not texts, to say, I really want to take you out. I'm serious. I hang up thinking, okay, plot. Then nothing. Monday, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. Wednesday, Thursday, the sound of a Mata tunnel when the train hasn't arrived yet. Friday is Valentine's Day. At 8:42 p.m., my phone lights up with a text that reads, and I quote, "What's good?" No acknowledgement of 5 days. No hey, wild week. No happy Valentine's. Just what's good? Like I'm a food truck and he's asking if we're still open. I stare at it with the calm of a woman who has seen a thing or two. I type, 5 days is insane, tighten up, and hit send. Then I unfollow, delete the thread, sweep my floor like I just took the trash out of my life because I did. That's the skeleton of it. Here's the city-laced muscle. DC parties are hilarious because every conversation is a funhouse mirror. Someone's debating zone defense like they're on a committee markup. Someone's passing wings like they're whipping votes. 3 feds and a Hill staffer are comparing calendars and calling it flirting. He fit right in, navy blazer, clean fade, that Hill intern earnestness with a little Navy Yard swagger. He told me he works around the Hill, which in this town means anything from scheduler to guy who delivers La Croix to a think tank. I didn't care. His vibe was pleasant and his jokes landed. He ratioed his compliments properly, just enough to be flattering, not so much I needed to call ethics. When he called me after the party, I was driving down 14th, cherry blossom decals still on someone's rear window, even though it's February, and the tidal basin is a rumor. He said, "I'm going to plan something nice, somewhere quieter, so I can actually hear you talk." He said it like a promise, and I let it float me home. I queued up my first date hair playlist and fell asleep to the imagined sound of doors closing. Monday morning I checked my phone too often. I pretended I wasn't, but I was. There's a particular hope hum your body makes when you like someone, and they say they like you too. Lunch came and went. I told myself he was busy. This is the city of busy. We treat busy like it's a local deity. I made excuses for him. Hearings, deadlines, and inbox fire. Tuesday night hit, nothing. The hum turned into static. Wednesday, I almost did the thing where you send a breezy, "Hope your week's going well," as if I am a woman with no memory and infinite patience. I didn't. I went to spin class and glared at my own reflection. Thursday evening I went to a happy hour at Kramer's and told the story to my friend who works at DOJ. She said, "Charge him with misdemeanor bare minimum," which is why she's a lawyer and I'm a poet disguised as a communications person. We ordered fries and I said my line in case he ever climbed back out of the void. "I'm not an emergency contact." My friend clinked her martini to that. Friday, Valentine's. I had plans with myself. I'd bought tulips and a ticket to the AFI for a French film where everyone smokes and no one smiles. At 8:42 p.m., his "what's good" came through. The audacity made me laugh out loud, a bark that startled my cat. There's a kind of casual entitlement that turns my brain into a courtroom sketch. He fully expected me to be grateful for crumbs because he'd once called me pretty at a party. I sent my line. 5 days is insane, tighten up. He didn't reply. The scene ended like a kabuki play. Dramatic makeup, no movement. I did a silly little victory lap around my living room. Not because I'd won, but because I caught myself before I slid into the familiar groove, making nice, waiting forever, handing my time to someone who couldn't be bothered to hold it. The part that sometimes feels like horror, if we're being dramatic, and we are because DC runs on drama, is how easy it is to be lulled by the meet cute. The compliments weren't knives, but they were tools. They built a stage for him to stand on so he could step off it as soon as he got bored and expect me to keep clapping. The gap between his prettiest girl in the room and his "what's good" was 5 days long and 1 sentence deep. Whiplash is a kind of injury too. My best friend, Elia, was always trying to set me up. She believed in fate, in chemistry, in those ridiculous zodiac compatibility charts. I humored her most of the time. But when she insisted, that I meet a guy named Corvin she'd recently befriended through her meditation group, I was skeptical. She told me we'd be perfect together, that he was sensitive, wounded, but intensely genuine. That last part should have been a red flag. Still, I agreed to meet him. She arranged the date for a Thursday evening at a quiet restaurant on the outskirts of town, a place called Belgrave's. It was one of those dimly lit bistros with candles on the tables, mismatched antique chairs, and a string quartet playing somewhere in the background that never seemed to stop tuning. Corvin was already seated when I arrived. He stood when he saw me, smiling in a shy, almost grateful way. Tall, lean, with a mop of disheveled dark hair and gray eyes that didn't quite meet mine. His clothes were neat but worn, collar slightly frayed, cuffs faded. "You must be Lyra," he said. His voice was soft, almost apologetic. I nodded. "And you're Corvin." He smiled again, and we sat. For the first 20 minutes, everything was fine. He asked about my job, graphic design for a publishing house, and seemed genuinely interested in my answers. He was articulate, funny in a self-deprecating way, and he had that quiet listening quality that made you feel like your words had weight. Then, somewhere between the second glass of wine and the arrival of our atres, he mentioned his ex. It was casual at first, a passing remark about how she never liked French food. I ignored it, but then he brought up another ex, then another, each story more detailed than the last. He wasn't just reminiscing, he was unraveling, telling me about one who cheated on him with his roommate, another who left without saying goodbye, one who accused him of being too intense because he kept a journal of everything she said to him during their relationship. I tried to smile, to nod politely, but my appetite was gone. "It's always the same," he said, staring down at his untouched plate. "They say they want honesty, and then they run from it." I shifted in my seat. Maybe they just weren't the right people. He looked up sharply. "No, they were right. I was too much. I cared too much. I didn't know what to say." He laughed softly, like he was in on some private joke. "You're probably thinking, wow, fourth date material, not first." I forced a smile. "A bit." He nodded solemnly. "I get it. You're not the first to say that." I tried to steer the conversation elsewhere. Asked if he'd traveled anywhere recently. He told me he hadn't left the state in years. That he didn't like airports. That he used to fly often before his ex, the one named Morel, convinced him that the sky was a place where people left and never came back. I thought he was being metaphorical. But he wasn't. "She left during a thunderstorm," he said, looking past me. "Packed in the night. Didn't even take her toothbrush." I watched her taxi disappear down the street. I counted the seconds between the lightning and the thunder. "Corvin," I said gently, "maybe we should talk about something else." He blinked. "Of course. Sorry. Sometimes I don't know how much is too much." I nodded, relieved. But then he leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Do you ever feel haunted by people who are still alive?" I froze. He smiled, a sad, crooked smile. "I do. All the time. Morel, especially. She's in my apartment. Not physically, but in the walls. In the temperature. I'll be washing dishes, and suddenly the room goes cold. Or I'll be halfway through brushing my teeth, and I'll hear her humming behind me." I swallowed. "That sounds difficult." He nodded. "I don't think she left properly. I think some part of her stayed behind. Most people don't finish things cleanly, you know? They leave pieces of themselves. And we carry them." I was no longer sure if I was on a first date or trapped in a therapy session with a man unraveling in real time. I checked my phone discreetly. An hour and a half had passed. He noticed. "You don't have to stay. I know I'm a lot." I hesitated. "It's not that. Early meeting tomorrow." He nodded, looking down at his hands. "Of course." The waiter brought the check, and I reached for my wallet, but Corvin stopped me. "I'll get it," he said. "It's the least I can do." I thanked him, stood, and gathered my coat. As we walked out, he turned to me and said quietly, "You have kind eyes, but I can tell you're already halfway out the door." I didn't answer. I just gave him a small smile and walked to my car. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. The next morning, I woke up to a message from an unknown number. "You don't have to run. I'm not like them." I blocked the number. 2 days later, another message came. Different number. "You looked beautiful under the candlelight. I wish I could show you what I see." I blocked it too. Then the letters started. No return address. Just folded sheets of thick, unlined paper slipped into my mailbox. The first one was a poem, about a woman with moonlight in her veins, who doesn't yet realize she's already part of someone else's story. The second letter included a photograph. Of me, taken through my apartment window. I contacted the police. They took a report, but said there was no direct threat, no law broken. Just someone with bad boundaries, they said. Ilya felt horrible. She tried calling Corvin, but his number was disconnected. She swore she hadn't seen him since the night we met. I bought new curtains, changed my locks, got a security camera installed. It didn't matter. Notes continued arriving. One was taped to my front door. "Don't be afraid. I'm just listening. You talk in your sleep." Another came with a small velvet pouch containing a lock of hair. I don't know if it was mine. I didn't want to check. I moved out 6 weeks later. Left the city entirely. Cut contact with everyone except my sister. I didn't leave a forwarding address. I deleted my social media. Changed my name on every account. Silence, finally. Until last week. I was walking home from work in my new city, new name, new apartment, new life, when I passed a bookstore with a small display in the window. A collection of local poetry chapbooks. One was titled Still Room for Her Ghost. The author was listed as Corvin Black. The cover was a photograph of me, sitting at that restaurant table, candlelight in my eyes. The same night we met. I stood there for a full minute, heart pounding, unable to move. I went inside and flipped through the pages. Each poem was about a woman named Lyra. A woman who smelled of antique pages and spoke in lowercase. A woman who is everywhere now, even in the silence between walls. I bought the book. Not because I wanted it, but because I needed to know if he was still watching. And the last page confirmed it. A short poem. 4 lines. No title. She left once, and I let her. She left twice, and I followed. She leaves again, but I'm already there. Behind the glass, inside the wall. I burned the book, but the words are still in my head. And sometimes when I walk past mirrors, I think I see him just behind me. Smiling. Saying nothing. Waiting for me to finish the story. His name was Idris. We matched on an app one barely remembered downloading. I'd been in a strange mood that week, tired of the silence, tired of the scrolling. His profile was unassuming. A single photo, him in an oversized coat, leaning against a brick wall, looking away from the camera. His bio said, "Asking the right questions is more intimate than touching." I should have known better. We met for coffee at a place called Clarity House. Minimalist furniture, white walls, windows that let in too much light. He was already seated when I arrived, sipping black coffee from a ceramic cup, no phone in sight. "Zara?" he asked, standing to shake my hand. His palm was dry and warm. "Yes," I said, and sat across from him. From the start, something about him felt fixed, as if he was fully present in a way most people weren't. He never broke eye contact. He didn't fidget. He didn't seem bored or distracted or waiting for his turn to speak. At first, it was refreshing. Then the questions started. "What's the worst thing your parents ever said to you?" I blinked. "That's a little intense for a first date." He tilted his head, smiling faintly. "You don't have to answer. I just like to know what shaped people." I shrugged it off. I'd had worse openers. We kept talking. He asked where I grew up, what my childhood bedroom looked like, the name of my first pet. I told him, carefully editing as I went. When I asked what he did for work, he said, "I freelance. Mostly data mapping." I didn't know what that meant. He avoided talking about himself. Every question I asked came back to me. "Do you believe in fate? What's the last lie you told someone you love? Would you rather be watched or forgotten?" That one made me pause. "I don't know," I said. "Neither sounds great." He nodded slowly. "Most people say that, but you hesitated." After an hour, I suggested we go for a walk. The coffee shop felt too bright, too exposed. Outside, the sun was low, painting everything in soft gold. We walked without direction, down side streets, and into quieter parts of the neighborhood. He asked more questions. "How often do you cry? What password do you use most often?" I stared at him. "Kidding," he said quickly. "Just seeing if you were still paying attention." But I wasn't laughing. We reached a small park with a narrow path that wound through a patch of trees. I slowed my steps, suddenly unsure if I wanted to go deeper into the shade with him. "I think I'll head back," I said. "Early morning tomorrow." He didn't argue, just nodded again, calm as ever. "I enjoyed our conversation," he said. "Not many people are honest." I forced a smile. "Thanks." As I turned to leave, I noticed a car idling across the street. Matte black. Windows tinted too dark to see through. It wasn't moving, but the engine was running. I glanced back at Idris. He was still standing there, hands in his coat pockets, watching me. I walked home quickly, checking over my shoulder more than once. The car didn't follow. At least, not that I could tell. That night, I didn't sleep well. The next day, I got a text from an unknown number. "You looked beautiful when you smiled at the pigeons." I hadn't told anyone about that. It had happened after the date, on my walk home. I'd paused near the fountain, laughed as a bird waddled toward my feet. I blocked the number. 2 days later, I received another message. "Your door makes a soft creak when you lock it, like it's whispering." I checked the locks. Nothing looked tampered with. I installed a new deadbolt and bought a camera for the hallway. But the messages kept coming. Do you ever feel like you're being studied? The green sweater suits you. It makes you look softer. I don't think you even know what you're afraid of. I called the police. They took a report. I showed them the messages, mentioned the date. They asked if I'd ever invited him to my home, given him my address. I hadn't. They said there wasn't much they could do unless he entered the property or made a direct threat. I started taking different routes home. I wiped my social media. I switched to private accounts, changed my passwords. Then one evening, I noticed the black car again. Parked across the street. Lights off. Engine silent this time. I didn't go outside. The next morning, a package was waiting at my door. No return address. Inside was a flash drive and a neatly folded sheet of paper. The note read, "It's not stalking if it's a study." I didn't plug in the drive. I took it to the police. They confiscated it and told me they'd add it to the file. I asked if they'd found anything on Idris. "There's no record of anyone by that name matching your description," the officer said. "No social media, no official ID, nothing in the local database." I stopped going out alone. 6 days later, someone left a Polaroid on my windowsill. It showed me sitting in my kitchen reading. Taken from outside through the glass. I'd been alone. I moved apartments 3 days later. New locks. New number. No forwarding address. No more dating apps. His name was Kale. We met through an app one rarely used, during a week I barely remember. I'd been working 12-hour shifts and sleeping through most of my weekends. A friend convinced me to try dating again, just to break the rhythm of work and silence. I downloaded the app, swiped on a few profiles, and matched with him the same evening. Kale's photos were black and white. He had that quiet, artistic look, slightly tousled hair, a faint scar near his eyebrow, and a crooked smile that looked more like a secret. His bio was short. "I like people who don't smile when they're supposed to." I didn't know what that meant, but I messaged him anyway. He responded quickly. Polite, thoughtful, and sometimes cryptic. He recommended books I'd never heard of, and told me he liked wandering antique stores alone. We talked for 3 days before he asked if I wanted to meet. I agreed. We chose a quiet bar called Elliot's Hollow, tucked into the corner of downtown, where low lighting and soft jazz made everyone feel like they were in a movie scene. I arrived 5 minutes early. He was already there, sitting at the back, sipping something dark from a heavy glass. He stood when he saw me. His coat was too thin for the weather, but he didn't seem to notice. Up close, his eyes were a strange shade, too pale to be brown, too stormy to be hazel. He smelled faintly of cedarwood and cold air. "Ria?" he asked, tilting his head. "Yes," I said, and offered a small smile. He smiled back, but only briefly. We talked for 2 hours. He asked strange questions, not inappropriate, just unexpected. "Do you dream in color? Have you ever walked into a room and felt like you were being watched, even when no one was there? Do you believe people can leave parts of themselves behind in the places they've lived?" I told him I wasn't sure about any of those things. He nodded like he respected that, like uncertainty was preferable to false conviction. At the end of the night, he offered to walk me to my car. I hesitated, but agreed. He didn't touch me, didn't ask for a hug or a kiss. Just smiled and said, "I hope you sleep well tonight." I drove home feeling unsettled, not in a bad way. Just watched. The next morning, I found a message from him. "You looked like someone trying not to disappear last night." I didn't know how to respond. I didn't respond. He didn't message again that day or the next. A week passed. Then I found the note. It was in my mailbox. No envelope. Folded neatly, pressed flat. My name was typed across the front, just Ria, in a serif font like something from a typewriter. I opened it. I know how hard it is to be seen. Sometimes I think we only exist when someone is looking at us. I'm still looking. There was no signature. I told myself it was a coincidence. Maybe it wasn't even from him. Maybe it was part of a local art project. People left weird things in mailboxes all the time, right? Another week passed. I didn't hear from Kale. I thought it was over. Then I found the second note. This one was slipped under my apartment door. Same paper. Same font. You lock your door twice. Once out of habit. The second time because of what you've imagined. My stomach dropped. I hadn't told anyone about that habit. I checked the locks. Nothing was broken. No signs of forced entry. Just that sheet of paper, folded cleanly, like it had been placed there with care. I blocked his number. Deleted the app. I didn't know what else to do. The next night, I heard a knock at the door. Soft. Deliberate. I didn't move. After a minute, it stopped. In the morning, there was no one outside. But tucked between my doormat and the tile floor was another note. You're most beautiful when you're scared. I called the police. They came, took a report, asked if I had any enemies, any exes with unresolved feelings. I told them about Kale, showed them the messages, the notes. They said they'd look into it. That night, I slept with a knife under my pillow. 2 days later, another note arrived. This time, it was taped to my bathroom mirror. That's what broke me. I hadn't left the window open. The door had been locked. I hadn't heard anything. But there it was, in the center of the glass, dead center at eye level. I like this version of you. The one that doesn't pretend. I packed a bag and left that night. I stayed at a friend's place across the city. Didn't tell anyone where I'd gone. I turned off my phone. Changed my email. Got a new number. I didn't go outside for 3 days. On the 4th night, I got a text from an unknown number. You can shut the blinds, but I still know how you move. I didn't know how he found me. I didn't want to know. I moved again. This time, I left the city entirely. Changed jobs. Rented a studio apartment under a different name. I became a ghost of my former self. I didn't date. I didn't engage. I didn't let anyone know where I lived. For 6 months, there was silence. And then, last week, I woke up to find the mirror in my apartment fogged, though I hadn't used the shower. In the center of the glass, written with a fingertip. I never stopped looking. I used to think rudeness was loud. Interruptions. Talking over someone. Showing up late and never saying sorry. But then I met Bianca. She wasn't loud. She was elsewhere. We matched on a Tuesday. Her profile was short. 2 photos, a dog, and a quote from a TV show I liked. She worked in advertising, mentioned she hated cilantro, and had a playlist of songs that feel like dusk. I thought that was oddly specific and probably meant she had a sense of mood. She messaged first. Is that a real dog or a rental? Referring to the dog in my profile. I replied that he was mine and very judgmental. She sent a laughing emoji and said she liked judgmental dogs better than judgmental people. We made plans for drinks on Saturday. She picked the place, somewhere downtown with dark lighting and music just loud enough to make you lean in. I got there first. She arrived 5 minutes late. No big deal. She wore a dark red jacket and ankle boots. Her hair was pinned up loosely, like she'd been in a rush but still cared. Hey, she said, then glanced at her phone. Sorry, my friend was sending me something ridiculous. I smiled. No worries. We went inside, found a small table in the corner. She sat down, looked at her phone again, and said, This place is cute. One SEC, I just have to reply to this. I nodded. It started small. She kept her phone face up on the table. Every few minutes, it buzzed. She'd glance down, swipe quickly, then look up and smile like she hadn't missed anything. I asked where she worked. She said something about campaign metrics and brand voice realignment, then paused mid-sentence to type out a response. When she looked up again, she said, Sorry, my roommate's dating someone new, and it's a whole thing. I laughed politely. Sounds complicated. Oh, beyond, she said. Anyway, what were we talking about? I wasn't sure we were. Still, I tried. I asked about her dog. She showed me a photo, then 3 more. Then she got a message and giggled. Sorry, she said. Inside joke. I'll tell you later. She didn't. She asked what I did for work, and I told her I was in content strategy. Like SEO and stuff, she asked. Kind of, I said. But more like structuring information so people can find what they need without clicking 5 times. She nodded, eyes scanning her screen. Sorry, wait. What did you say? I repeated myself. She nodded again. Cool. That's cool. We ordered drinks. She posted a photo of hers to her Instagram story. Added a GIF. Then typed something and laughed again. I said, What's funny? Oh, she said. Nothing important. Just a group chat. She didn't ask what I was drinking. I asked if she liked the bar. She said she'd been there once before but barely remembered it. I think I was with someone who talked too much. She laughed at that. I didn't. Halfway through the date, she said, I'm being rude, aren't I? I shrugged. A little. She smiled. I know. I'm just tapped in all the time. Bad habit. And then she didn't put her phone away. She just said it, acknowledged it, and kept going. I started counting quietly. In the span of 30 minutes, she checked her phone 9 times. Laughed out loud 3. Sent at least 5 messages. She asked me one more question, what kind of music I liked, then interrupted my answer to record a video of the bar's ceiling lights for her story. I stopped talking mid-sentence. She didn't notice. Eventually, she glanced at the time and said, "I should probably head out soon. My friend's having a thing." I nodded. "Cool." She stood, hugged me briefly, and said, "This was fun. Let's chat again." I smiled. "Sure." She walked out texting. I sat for another 5 minutes, finishing my drink. When I got home, there was a message from her. "Hey, you're really interesting. Hope I wasn't too distracted. Let's hang again." I didn't reply. A few days later, a friend of mine messaged me. "Did you go out with Bianca? She's dating 2 of my friends right now. They're both confused." I wasn't surprised. I wasn't angry either. Just deflated. She wasn't cruel. She wasn't malicious. She was just never fully there. Too many conversations. Too many threads. Too many versions of herself to keep active all at once. I think if I'd asked her about it, she would have said she was just bad at being present. As if it were a personality quirk, not a choice. But presence isn't ambient. You have to show up. And she didn't. At least, not with me. I should have known by the third text. The first was fine. "Hey, looking forward to Saturday." The second was okay. "I'm sorry if I'm slow replying. My ex has been texting nonstop today, face with rolling eyes." And the third? "Do you think it's weird to still be friends with someone who broke your heart and cheated on you?" That was 3 days before we met in person. I could have bowed out then. Should have. But I told myself not to judge prematurely. People vent. Maybe she just needed to get it out of her system before starting something new. Her name was Aressa. Unusual name. Pretty though. She had a sharp laugh, a bit of an edge in her profile bio. "Not here to babysit your ego. I drink mezcal and talk fast." Fine by me. We met at a quiet bar on the east side, one of those dim places with velvet booths and bartenders who make drinks with sprigs of rosemary and smirks. She was already there when I arrived, sitting at the far end of the bar, swirling something clear in a tumbler. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. She stood, hugged me, and said, "You're taller than I expected." "I like that." I smiled. So far, so good. We ordered drinks. She got a mezcal cocktail, of course. I stuck with bourbon. I asked how her day was. She sighed. Not a normal sigh. One of those full body, where do I begin sighs. And that's when it started. "Honestly," she said, "it's been rough. My ex showed up at my apartment this morning. Just showed up. No warning. Banging on my door like some kind of, I don't even know. Like he owns the air around me." I blinked. "Wow, that's a lot. Right?" she said, launching in. "He cheated on me with someone who wore glitter eyeliner and posted quotes from The Alchemist." "I mean, who does that?" I tried to nod sympathetically. "That sounds really." "And the worst part," she interrupted, "he still doesn't think he did anything wrong. He says I was emotionally unavailable because I didn't want to go to his cousin's baby shower. Like, sorry I have boundaries?" I took a sip of my drink. "Sounds like he didn't respect you." She lit up. "Yes. Exactly. Thank you. Finally, someone who gets it." I smiled, but something in my chest tightened. She kept going. "Anecdotes. Arguments. Scamshots." Yes, she actually pulled out her phone and showed me a text thread labeled "Fire Mistake." I glanced around the bar, wondering if the bartender could sense the emotional weight radiating off our booth. At one point, I tried to pivot. I asked what she did for work. "Oh, I'm in PR," she said, waving her hand. "But honestly, everything feels like a distraction right now. I'm trying to focus on healing." I nodded. "That's important." She leaned in. "Do you think people can really change?" I hesitated. "Sometimes. Depends on why they want to." She stared at me for a moment. "You're good at this. You feel solid. Like grounded." I smiled awkwardly. "Thanks." She sighed again. "I shouldn't be dating. I know that. But I hate being alone." There it was. I don't remember what I said to that. Something vague. Supportive. Non-committal. The evening dragged on. Every time I tried to redirect, to movies, music, family, she looped back. Her ex. Her therapist. The time she found glitter in her sheets and knew he'd been with that girl. She ordered another drink. I switched to soda water. Eventually, I said, "I should probably get going soon." She looked surprised. "Already?" "It's getting late," I said gently. She tilted her head. "You're sweet. You remind me of my ex before he got cynical." I offered a tight smile. "That's good." She laughed. Who knows? Maybe I'm projecting. She didn't ask if I wanted to see her again. I didn't offer. We split the check. She thanked me for listening. Said it felt good to talk to someone real. I nodded and wished her luck. She hugged me again before we left, longer this time. I walked to my car with a strange mix of emotions, sadness, irritation, a little guilt. She wasn't cruel. She wasn't manipulative. She was just not ready.